Hello, my name is Tom Patterson. My wife Danette and I serve as representatives with the Fellowship Track League. We have since 1992, and we're thankful the Lord's allowed us to serve Him in that ministry. Before we began working with the Track League, we were missionaries in the country of Grenada, little island nation in the very southern end of the Caribbean. We went there in 1986, started a church in a village. Had never had a church of any kind ever. We started on the side of the road and open air meetings, and the Lord began saving souls. A church was started, established. They called their own national pastor, and we came to the States on furlough. For years we'd prayed for a second child, and our daughter, when she's little, she was praying for 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and we're like, well, maybe not that many. And during our furlough, the Lord gave us our second child, our son Samuel. He was born with Down syndrome and had to have numerous surgeries when he was little. First year and a half, he was in therapy of some kind every week for years. And we had started serving the Lord with the track ministry. It was 12 years after we left Grenada before I got to go back for my first visit. Felt like I was home, felt like I'd never left in so many ways. Got to preach in the church we started, preach in some of the other churches. Just go back and drive through and walk through the villages. Then it was 17 years more before I got to go back the second time. A dear friend, a pastor, had major surgery and had been invited to preach in Grenada, and his church helped me get there to be there with him, spend that time in the island. I was offering to the pastors to get a large load of tracts for them, enough gospel tracts for all their churches. And they thanked me, but knew something else was going on. I began asking, well, what's going on? They'd get me aside and say, Brother Tom, what we need is Bibles. And I thought, yeah, but we don't do Bibles. We are Fellowship Track League. And as it went on, after several had done that, I asked, why are you all asking for Bibles? And they told me the only Christian bookstore in the country had closed. Somebody gets saved, somebody in their church needs a Bible. Nowhere in the country to go get one. I came home on furlough, I came back to the States and began struggling with that burden. How can I ship enough Bibles to Grenada to meet that need? And that went on for weeks, turned into a couple of months, and I was arguing with the Lord, but how can I do that? At our home church missions conference in March of 2019, young couple on deputation going back to Fiji. He grew up there as a missionary kid. Part of his presentation was the Bible Project their mission board had done, going into every school in the country, preaching the gospel, giving Bibles out, and of course supplying the churches and missionaries. The Lord began revealing to me it wasn't just a few boxes of Bibles He wanted, it was the whole country. Now I was really scared. How am I going to do that? 3 weeks after our missions conference, I was at a large conference, and the theme of the week was taken from Ezra. The theme wasn't directly dealing with me, but the messages seemed to coming back to the fact we serve the God of the impossible. Ezra was a scribe in captivity. Then God called him to go back to Jerusalem and to rebuild the temple. I pictured Ezra saying, yeah, I'm supposed to do what? Like I'd been arguing with how and what the Lord wanted me to do. I went to the altar at the end of the week and said, Lord, if you really think you can do something like this with somebody like me, I'm willing, but you're going to have to do it. That's what the Lord's after in all of our lives, that we see what He wants to do and that He will do it. He just wants to use us to accomplish it. I had begun praying in earnest, how could we meet that need? Began calling the national pastors, pray about this. Called the mission director who had been responsible for heading up the Bible projects now in 5 countries in the South Pacific. Picked his brain trying to learn what we needed to do, how we needed to go about it. And again, what it came down to is the fact that God wanted this done. One thing I had argued with for months, the souls in Grenada are no less precious than anywhere else in the world. Why should they be left in the dark? And in talking to the national pastors, one had close ties with the prime minister. They'd known each other for years. Another was close friends and working relationship with the minister of education, who is also the minister of religious affairs. The prime minister and this cabinet minister both are saved. They know the Lord. They want this done. We had everything lined up, tickets reserved, flight to Grenada to meet with them. That was in March of this year, 2020. And the pandemic has shut down many things, including their country, for folks coming in to visit still. But God has opened the door for us. We're working toward final numbers of how many Bibles we need. We're looking at 60,000 to up to 80,000 Bibles. Again, that's a daunting task, but what God has put before us is an opportunity. $5 a Bible, total cost delivered into Grenada. Being able to give the gospel in the schools. Being able to put the tools in the pastors' and missionaries' hands to reach their people. We definitely need your prayer. We need you to pray God would keep this door open, that He would keep us where He wants us and do this. Financial cost, we've got it to $5 a Bible delivered in country. And again, it's a large print Bible we're going to be using, good quality. But again, it's going to be taken in. And Scripture the Lord used in my heart, how could I do this? I can't. That's the easy answer. I can't. Does He want it done? Yes. He's not willing that any should perish. For God so loved the world, that meant Grenada too. That verse goes on, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. In Romans chapter 8, verse 32, still says, He that spared not His own Son, but delivered Him up for us all, how shall He not with Him also freely give us all things? He's already paid the price for their salvation. How would He not enable us to take the gospel to them? The cost is $5 a Bible. And again, that's $5 to get a Bible printed and delivered into their hands. We'll need teams to go with us and help preach in the schools and give the Bibles out. It's amazing the door God's opened. But we need your help. We need you to pray, give as God allows and leads you to. But again, most of all, pray that God will accomplish this. And in His time,